We are Vengeance. We are the Night. All about Batman this week. Our predictions, everything else, and then our thoughts. Uncharted. Let's get into it. Bryan, hit that music. Coming to you from 12920 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California, in the heart of Uptown Whittier, Keeping Up with the Nerds presents issue 86. My name is Nick Valero.
This is Bryan.
This is Rene. Is it issue 86?
87.
I was gonna say,
And welcome to the show!
87, welcome to the show.
As soon as you mentioned
yeah,
it, I was just like, wait, no, it's 87.
It's 87.
And we're done with that. All right. Just
No do-overs.
so where were we?
I've noticed that, like, okay, maybe it's because I'm the one that's editing and can keep track of everything.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that you and Nick are the only two that have consistently, like, not had the confidence to just make those intros happen.
You know what? It's not that we don't have the confidence, because I made it through the intro. It's just I didn't ask a question of what issue it was.
That's true.
In all fairness, I got through the whole thing. I didn't flub it. I just misspoke.
Well, because
when it came to the
recently I was thinking about it. And I was just like, okay, we did 85, which was you. You did the intro.
I did the
85.
intro.
That was what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought last week was 85 because I remembered it was him, but then
I did it.
No,
Then
it
I
was
stopped.
You did 85, I did 86.
Oh,
you
that's
was on
right.
87.
Yeah, no, but that was why when I said 85, I said my name Nick Valero, and then immediately afterwards I was like, that's wrong. And then I went, whatever, let's go with it.
There you
If
go.
Bryan hasn't
An
cut me, I'm
inside-
fine.
You didn't stop me, so I guess I can keep going.
It's that's our working relationship.
The
Bryan hasn't said
inside
no.
mind of Nick Valero, everyone. There you go. How have you guys been?
Good.
Been
Good.
pretty good. Yeah.
This week went by fast. Actually, you know what? This month went by fast.
Yes.
It has, because you know why?
Because we're going to see the Batman.
Because we're going to see Batman Tuesday.
Okay, so I wasn't using that as a marker until recently.
Really?
Yeah, because I was noticing, I was writing dates at work. So, like, I noticed it was like 220, 222, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was like everyone was celebrating. I'm like, I mean, cool, awesome. Another 11 years and we can do that again in March. Yeah. Are you thinking about it or?
What happened?
March 33. March 3rd, 2033 is another one.
That's
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that was that. And then I was thinking about it today. I was just like, oh, shoot, yeah, the Batman's on Tuesday. Because I request some time off of work.
Yeah.
I
So-
only realized it because I was doing paperwork for work, and then I had to redo dates on like some sign out sheets, and then because I just click it and then it automatically fills, and I clicked it and it automatically filled, and I was like, March 1st is Tuesday? What? Oh my
I
god.
Well, these two nerds are excited for it. I'm excited for it, too. But I don't think I'm the same level as you two.
See, Bryan,
Yeah,
you're
we were
just gonna-
talking about it earlier.
Yeah, I know.
when you
Bryan
got
was
here.
being very salty because
I'm not. I was just messing with you guys,
No
dude.
one cares about your little insect.
That's a
Okay.
stupid
little
lie. That's a lie,
No.
okay? Because y'all enjoyed it. Now you're just trying to act all macho tough over here going like,
Because it's Batman.
I never said I didn't
make a
like that
stupid
movie.
PowerPoint then. Jesus, actually, Andy noticed that joke last time we were talking about
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
oh, the PowerPoint?
Yeah. Make a PowerPoint.
I think that's like my favorite thing now to like mention. You got a problem with it? PowerPoint it.
PowerPoint.
I'll make a
Presentation. I want a...
Wait, whose joke was that? Was that mine or yours?
That was both. I think he said it, but then you went off of it.
You know
That's
what?
it,
You-
I don't remember who said, I'll make a PowerPoint presentation about it. I don't remember who said it.
I want transitions. I want. You know, like,
I want the effects where it bounces.
Yeah.
No, I was watching Mythical Kitchen, and the host Josh was saying, he was telling a story about how he did spoken word at UCLA when he attended, and he's like, yeah, one of his like former friends or whatever called him out for liking some sort of like red wine or something. So his method of coping was to do some spoken word. And I was thinking about it. I'm just like, well, what if someone insulted Spider-Man? Why don't I just do a spoken word about
There you go.
Spider-Man? That's how I get back at you.
Would love to see you do an improvisational poem
I was like, I can do improv.
Spider-Man.
I can't do
No, about
improvisation
Spider-Man.
poems.
You know, just kind of like the Earth goes into the spider. I want this really
The
bad. now,
radioactivity
please.
goes
DNA
into the
radiation.
spider.
And then
Photons.
did you see Rene on the drums?
Spider escapes. Coming down from ceiling onto hand. Life-changing events.
Events.
Peter Parker.
I want this so bad. Please do the legs of the spider spoken word.
That should be a skit idea. And then Renee, I just want you in the background just like doing...
But I want you to have a beret and sunglasses because I just feel like it fits.
Right?
We have a good backdrop too with this.
We do. We do.
Okay, that's a good skit idea. I'll keep
Yeah,
that in mind.
it's a solid good idea. That's
Yeah.
that's really funny.
I just got to figure out how to do spoken word so I can do a script on it. The outros are just going to be improvisations.
Haven't you ever seen was it 22 Jump Street?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cynthia.
You know what I love in 22 Jump Street is at the end when they're just showing off like different
Oh,
sequels,
different sequels.
and then like it's for a second it's Seth Rogen, and then Jonah comes back and he's like, "What? I mean, what's this about a contract dispute?"
What do you mean contract disputes?
Yeah.
Oh man, but what about you guys this week? You guys doing okay this week?
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Just
Yeah.
I've been again. I told you guys earlier. I've been because of the hype of the Batman movie coming out. I've been replaying the Batman Arkham Asylum.
Oh
games,
man, you guys are
so-
you look at you. You're all like on the inside. You're just like
I'm giddy. Yeah.
I it's kind of like tantric at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying not to do anything Batman related.
Mm-hmm.
So that way when I see it, it just fulfills every need I need in my
You mean it fills
entire
every
body.
orifice? Yeah.
Yeah. You know, like just kind of like holding it
Mm-hmm.
like until, you know, for days on end.
Yeah.
Just in the anticipation, and then finally when it finally happens and climaxes, it just it goes everywhere.
I can see it now.
Just Nick every night.
I can,
Just thinking about it.
right before he goes to bed, he's on. I think go to sleep.
It's my little bat wet dream.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's great. Before we move on to the main topics, because I feel we've talked about the Batman, but I think with now it being closer to the actual release date, and you finding out that they did a book,
Yes, an
about
audiobook.
it, we can talk about that as well.
Have you read the audiobook?
Yeah, I finished it.
How do you read an audiobook? Exactly. Smart ass.
He's trying to come up with a joke.
No, I'm just trying to. In all fairness, I'm trying to think about why I said that. Like I'm trying to go on my own stupidity. I'm trying to go like, why did you?
Man.
But
This
I've
is
been
the keeping up with the nerds first, everyone.
Dude, I've been hold on. In all fairness, I've been fumbles all night.
so that's true. That's true.
I have been fumbles all night.
If you guys
so-
don't know, Nick got a new phone, and we took a picture for the gram, for our page, and he's putting it back in his hands, or like I don't know what you were doing when we were walking out.
I put the S Pen back into the case.
I was trying to
okay.
put the S Pen back in the case, and then my hands.
Something happened where your hand jerked around, and it hit the corner of the front of the theater.
Dude, it bounced.
Yeah.
And then I was
I was
like,
scared for you for a second.
I immediately lost it, and then not only that, but it went screen first.
Yeah.
Which was so scary.
Why are you scared for him? You already know Nick. Nick's just gonna look at it and be like,
I'll just get a new one.
"I got protection anyway." So.
Yeah,
This is why you pay for insurance.
that's true.
In all fairness,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna worry about it because that's why I pay for insurance.
Well, honestly, I don't pay for insurance for some of my stuff because on certain things because it's
like his life.
yeah, I don't have insurance because
You
I'm
don't?
pretty I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna live for a pretty good while. Well,
you know it's illegal not to have insurance now, right?
yes, it is.
Like you know that, right? Like in California, that's illegal.
Don't need life insurance. I'm gonna live a while, so I'm good.
I'll
I'll worry about it when I get there.
Dude, I'm just waiting for that one person that listens to it and then and just reports on you. You don't have insurance. You don't have to come with us.
But,
Anyways, yeah. So he
I
dropped his
forgot
phone.
lost train of thought. But
He dropped his phone and he fumbled.
Oh,
it.
yeah, he
was
fumbled.
being
I
Nick.
did that. No, but then earlier, and then as soon as we, what was it? We went to get waters. And then you were like,
Oh,
can
yeah, can I have a water?
Can I have a water?
Yeah.
And then I went, yeah, sure. And then immediately I grabbed it. And
you try to do a fancy flip.
what I tried to do is I grabbed it and I tried to flip it forward.
Yes, because you
so that
grabbed
way
it.
I could close it and then hold and then grab it. I didn't throw it high enough, and it just went. Bloop, 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 bloop. It fell all over the place.
Good job, Nick.
And then right before we started, I did the same thing with the clapper. with our little,
Oh, that's true.
I took it away from you because you're done.
where is it? Oh, it's
So
on.
that's my side. Don't worry about it. Anyways, so
How
a
in the
couple
world did it
updates.
get
A
over
couple updates
Oh, right.
about Keeping Up with the Nerds before we go on to our main topic. If you guys have not been checking out our website at keepingupwiththenerds.com, 2 new articles have been posted up there. One about the Book of Boba Fett and our thoughts on it, and another one I did an analysis on James Gunn's directing, which is a co-featured article that will go alongside issue 86. If you guys have not listened to that issue, because we do talk about Peacemaker.
Yes.
Which we love the show.
I have a question. Is your article just 200 words of the word of you just saying "fap"? Just fap, 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 fap.
James Gunn.
James Gunn.
No. No.
I can't stop coming.
Listen, when I say that I'm going to do an article, I actually do an article.
First off, I'm doing a diagnostic review. Okay, you leave me alone.
If you guys have gone onto the website, you've noticed that there's one person missing from the Boba Fett review.
Technically two, because
Two?
yeah, because Miguel was supposed to do his, and then he didn't end up doing it. Adam sent me his, you sent me yours, I did mine, and then Nick and Miguel were the only two that didn't turn one in.
Well, we don't know Miguel's excuse, but Nick's excuse is that
Miguel has an
he's-
excuse.
Hold
He does?
on.
Okay.
Yeah, probably, because I don't think he might not have seen it all the way through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And my excuse, I showed it to you. I showed you
It
the
wasn't
article.
really, yeah.
Yeah, I tried reading it and noticed that it was like a third of the way done. You're like, yeah, I'm still working on it.
I know.
I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Dude, whatever you want, Nick. Let's see how long it takes you to
When-
make the article. Give me crap for not finishing editing like videos and stuff, and you over here not finishing up an article.
And we're posting articles, little reviews on for the Batman, right? Coming
Yes.
out.
So given that we are releasing this podcast the week that the Batman releases, we're going to be doing some special features to kind of talk about the Batman. We're going to try to do something special before the podcast releases on Wednesday. Be it an article or be it some mini cast, something like that, just to kind of keep the relevancy going.
Because what was it? While you're listening to this,
We've already seen this.
We've
on
already-
by the
Tuesday.
time you guys watch this, we have already
we've
seen the film.
well, people would have already seen because the fan screening is Tuesday. That's the fan screening.
As far as I know, as of like people around like the shop or my circles, we're the only group that's
Good.
seeing it on Tuesday.
as we should.
Yeah, you're welcome, Brian.
Thank you,
Yes,
Nick.
thank you, Nick. Because we're seeing it IMAX, which is nice. But I'm not confident that there's the
If you're
seats
in
are
a
reclining.
Oh, that's
They're not. I don't think so. I don't
In
think.
which shop? Puente Hills?
Yeah. No. Wait. No. We're
No,
going
it's.
which
I have no
should
idea.
bleep that out.
I'm not. Ay, Jesus Christ, man. Why do you gotta make me do work?
Because you bleeped it out last time.
I know, but now I gotta do work. Anyways, go check out Keeping Up with the Nerds.
Yeah. Keep an eye out for a Batman review of
Yes,
some sorts
Batman-
on the website and on the channel.
And
Because it would be tomorrow. That Batman would be coming out and everybody else.
Yes.
would be
yeah,
watching.
for the midnight quote unquote.
So I think it's not even a midnight release anymore. It's 8:00.
Yeah,
It's
so
the-
that's,
yeah,
that's why
the
quote
earliest.
unquote midnight.
It's the earliest. you can see it.
Other notes, we want to thank you guys for continuing following us, supporting us. We've noticed that there's been an influx of followers on our Instagram pages.
Yeah.
And I don't think Twitter as much, but Instagram, we've actually been getting quite a lot of followers and interactions there. So thank you guys for our
welcome.
listeners. For our listeners on the audio platforms, I've been looking at the analytics as well, and there's been a lot of consistency. So we want to thank you guys for constantly listening. Recommend us to people that you feel like would enjoy our content. We, like I said before, we wouldn't be as far as we are if it wasn't for the fact that we enjoy what we do.
Yeah.
So just, share us. Let us know, interact with us, because we're more than willing to hear any kind of criticism, any good news, things that we need to fix, stuff like that. And if you guys have not been following us on YouTube, go on follow us at Keeping Up with the Nerds. 94 subs. We've grown 2 in the last week, I believe.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and we're going to continue making skits. And right now we're in the process of talking about some improvements for year 3 come June. And given the fact that February is pretty much almost done at this point, or at this point already done. We can only imagine what the next couple of months are going to bring, meaning that we got to start picking up the pace because year 3 is going to be pretty heavy.
Yeah, and we're going to be hitting issue 100 pretty soon.
We may have to stay late tonight and talk about some deadlines.
Yeah, we do.
Great.
And with
Anyway.
that said, the Batman.
So, what exactly do you guys know about this movie? That's because I know that Rene has been trying his darnest to not see a damn thing.
The Waynes die.
So, potential spoilers if you guys are like Rene, who
Joker's not in it.
have not been paying attention to a lot of the news that was coming out about this movie.
Riddler.
This is going to have some stuff, maybe some hidden pieces of news and opinions.
My thing is that at this point we haven't seen it.
No.
At this point we're as in the dark
But
as you guys.
we are going to discuss, because they did release a snippet of the funeral scene in the Batman.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was pretty sick. I'm sorry, Rene.
We're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it, and you're just going to have to sit there and
Catwoman's in
enjoy
it as
it.
well. What?
Are you done?
I'm just going off what
I'm just doing my list.
Are you just reading IMDb right now? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Well, this is a person that's in the movie, and this is another person that's in the movie.
Colin Farrell's Penguin, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still really surprised about that. He's unrecognizable.
No, cannot recognize him at all.
Voice too. That's
if somebody would have, if somebody wouldn't have told me that was Colin Farrell, like if I didn't know,
You wouldn't have known.
I would have been like, dude, that actor's dope. Who is that?
Yeah.
So, spoilers ahead, even though the movie, it's not an official review of any sort. Just letting you know. So if you guys want to avoid any sort of like potential spoilers that could lead up into the movie, because we are going to be talking about the book as well that came out.
Right.
Pause the podcast, come back once you guys have seen the movie. More than likely, I mean, people, if you guys are enthusiasts about these kind of movies, you guys will more likely see it on the weekend. So watch it, then come back and let us know what you guys think.
Well, I mean, if anything, because we don't know what's going on. We're just having theories. So if anything, go check out the trailer. Go check out all the clips. Check out all the little funeral scene. You'll be as caught up as we are. But main thing from this is the year 1 book that came out.
You wanted to discuss the book first?
I think going into the book before actually going into the movie would give nice context.
Got it. So, Rene, introduce us to this book that you supposedly read as an audiobook.
The audiobook, yes.
Yeah, you read the audiobook, right?
Yeah.
It also gives you the words, too. You can read along.
Yeah.
Dum-dum.
Idiot. Anyways.
So, in the audiobook...
Okay, we're done.
You get no cuddles tonight. No cuddles for
I'm
you.
fine with that. I never asked for it anyways. In the audiobook.
So in the audiobook, I remember this got released in the beginning of February, actually. And I just now heard about it, was it like 2 or 3 weeks ago now? And it's sold out, physical copies. It's gone. Like Amazon doesn't have it in stock. I went to Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble didn't have it as well too. I went to the Barnes & Noble near Mandy's house in the mall that she works at, and again, they were sold out. So I was like, okay, fine then.
The fact that you found a Barnes & Noble impresses me.
The closest one to us here in Whittier, I think, is in all the way like in... I know Andy says there's one in Tustin.
There's one closer to him.
Yeah, there's one close to me because I think it's in like
down the
Fullerton.
street.
Fullerton?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Brea.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's
that's
one
right,
down the street
Brea.
from him.
Yeah, so I went there and that's again sold out as well too. So I just did the whole Audible. I noticed that Amazon was selling the Audible one. And I was
Right.
like, excuse me. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. But then it's like, oh, you need to like subscribe to Audible. It's not like, so I was like, okay, I'll subscribe, and I had 3 months free. Cool. And when you sign up for 3 months free, you get a credit or 2 credits.
In all fairness, this isn't we don't get paid by Audible, but
No.
Audible is pretty sick.
It's pretty good,
Have you ever had the subscription to Audible before?
I did early on, and I read a Star Wars. I mean, not read, but I listened to a Star Wars book. I think it was Catalyst.
Yeah,
And I got like halfway into that.
Listen,
The-
Audible, if you're willing to, sponsor us, I might be willing to pick up your services.
No, the thing I really liked about Audible was that they would always give you they give you 1 free book a month.
Yeah.
Why are we pitching Audible?
I don't know.
We're not. We
Well,
don't
I mean,
pay us.
honestly, that's like the easiest way to
watch
get
this.
this book.
Yeah.
To get
if you
this
want,
book,
if you want to
honestly.
read, if you want to have this thing and you want to actually like have it read, or listen to it then you should go to Audible.
It makes sense because I'm a huge podcast guy, so I have like my different list of podcasts to like listen to. So I think it only makes sense for me to like pick up like an audiobook and kind of like listen to it, because I do want to read the 2 Star Wars books you mentioned a couple issues back.
Right.
Oh, the Princess Leia one.
Yeah, the Princess Leia one,
sick,
and then the other one that you were talking about.
There's Catalyst, New Dawn. There's what was it? The Dark Disciple, whichever one.
Yeah, all the canon ones, and so this one's also an interesting one as well. I can probably get through it over the weekend, which is pretty good. Anyway, so you picked up.
It's not very long, right?
No.
So this one is called Before the Batman, the prequel to the official Batman movie, and it was really good. It's only 2 hours and 40 minutes, so it's a short book.
So you can cut that baby down to an hour if you put it at double speed.
Yes. But I need to listen to. I'm not that good, so.
No,
I mean it makes sense.
No, it does. Well, people do that.
No.
You can do that.
I used to. What I used to do is when I was doing my English classes, I would have to read a book, so I'd get the Audible version, and so that way I can do my homework really easy. I would then put it at double speed.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So, but I do want a physical copy after listening to this book, because it's just cool to have as well too. It was really good. It started out like the prologue was basically it starts like Bruce Wayne's like a little kid, and so is Edward Nygma, and Bruce is a little kid. But the thing is that the Waynes do not live in the Wayne Manor. They have donated the Wayne Manor to an orphanage. Orphans live in the Wayne Manor, while the Waynes live in Wayne Tower in the Playboy mansion that they have and stuff like that.
Yeah,
okay.
It's they give it to Gotham's. What was it? I think it's like the Gotham Orphanage for Wayward Boys or something like that. Yeah.
Definitely. And so what happens is that Edward Nygma is a kid and growing up in the Wayne Manor, in the orphanage, and constantly just sees pictures of the Waynes, Bruce Wayne, this little kid, and gets frustrated by how much privilege he has and how everything's given to him, and he gets jealous of him over the years.
They leave the portrait of the Waynes up inside of the main foyer. So they actually say, oh yeah, the Waynes donated the house to this because it's the Waynes historical home, and they just leave it up. They leave it up, so that's what he's always staring at, and he's always really pissed off about.
Edward Norton is who specifically? Is this a new character?
No, Edward Nygma is the Riddler.
Or Edward Nygma, excuse me.
Edward Norton is a narcissist.
That's the actor.
So Edward Nygma is this a new character, or is this someone that we should know?
He's always been the Riddler.
This is the Riddler.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because that's why it's Edward Nygma, Nygma.
Yeah.
Edward Nygma.
Got it. So, okay.
And it was really it shoots into like basically Bruce is freshly and going to college. He's just turned 18, and Edward Nygma is the same way. He's working, but he still lives with the orphanage and stuff like that.
He's also, when he's 16, he starts getting into cars.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bruce is really like a car guy and stuff like that. And then he's also intrigued by like detective work and stuff like that, and how forensic science is and stuff like that.
How much is this close to anything that we might have picked up from the comic books? Because that's the thing is, I feel like with everything you're explaining, it's very specific. Like you have Bruce who gets very into cars.
It definitely feels like they're trying to do that, but then when you go more into the book, like he by the midway point, he's already gone to street racing, but he's already kind of like dabbling into being Batman. But they didn't really give a reason why he chooses a bat, but they give a reason why he wants to become a vigilante.
No, yeah, they explained that the reason why he chose the bat was because it was surrounding him, because that's where
that's where he would stay at.
Because he would hide it because he already started hiding inside of the caves and the subways of the old Wayne metro system. And the main thing that was around him was a bat. And he knew, and he noticed that while he was working down there, that was the main thing that would be down there. So he thought I could surface to the top like a bat.
And Alfred was already pretty clever early on. Like Bruce would think he would sneak off and do these street races, but Alfred already knew by the time like he confesses essentially to doing it, and he's, oh yeah, I know what you're doing the whole time and stuff like that. He already knows. He goes into these abandoned subways and hangs out and stuff like that. He even sees an old muscle car that his dad used to have and fixes up, and that becomes the Batmobile and stuff like that.
That's interesting. So they're giving like essentially a different origin story to an origin story we already know.
Yes.
That's the thing. They're not showing us the origin story in the movie, but in the book, it's kind of interesting that we see the origin story. But at the same time, it's really interesting because now when you go and watch the movie, you get like a little inside background of everything.
Not only that, but also it was unsure. That was the one thing that Bruce wasn't sure about because the one thing he keeps on saying is it was just chance.
Yeah.
Like it was, and he kind of just blames himself. Where it's like it was chance. We shouldn't have gone down that alley. It was my fault. You know, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But now, and I can kind of understand now, where in the movie and in the trailer, he feels very much betrayed by Alfred because he knew that that's how Bruce felt. And Alfred knew that the Waynes were dealing with the Falcones and they were dealing with crime and they were getting involved in making deals underhanded, and they kind of brought it upon themselves.
Oh, so in this case, okay, in this origin story, the Waynes are corrupt. Is that explained?
You
in
don't
the books
get
or
that. You get more of like just it's Bruce's perspective.
Yeah, Bruce
throughout the whole thing.
So that
Have you read the book?
Yeah. So
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So
you
the
did.
whole
Oh, wow.
so going through the whole book, you can kind of see Bruce's perspective of him blaming himself for their death.
Yeah.
But if you go through the trailer, you can see how corrupt the Waynes were. So he was blaming himself for all them dying when in reality it was a hit. And it also makes that scene inside of it where he was like, "You knew the whole time, Alfred. Like, how can I trust you?" It makes that scene so much more powerful.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really interesting about this, though, is that it explains that when he turns 18 and goes to college, he drops out of almost 35 colleges. I think it goes
Must be
through.
nice. That must be super nice.
Well,
What the heck?
so every single time that he goes, he always goes to a college that has a specific specialty.
Yeah.
So biology. He goes to a college that's like the best in the world for biology. He goes there, and as soon as he finishes the course and he's done and he's mastered it, he drops out. Then he goes to another college so that way he can learn forensic science, masters it, drops out.
See, so what I
this is
liked about
clever.
that
and he's
is
traveling
that,
and he's traveling the world while he
he's-
does it.
That's the thing. That takes on then him just like in the comic books or in like if you think of like the animated series where there was that year or couple of years where Bruce was just gone. Where
Which
he was
animated series?
Well, in the Batman animated
the-
series.
oh, the
Yeah,
OG.
In the Batman animated series, it says that Bruce left Gotham for about 15 years. Like he was gone. He not 15 years, probably like 10.
yeah.
Like because he leaves when he's 20,
Comes back when he's like
or no,
30.
he leaves when he's 18. He leaves
Yeah,
when
as
he's
soon as
18.
he gets out of high school.
Yeah, as soon as he gets out of high school, he leaves, and then he doesn't come back until like his mid 20s, early 30s.
So during that time, he's traveling around the world, getting involved with like the League of Shadows, but then also doing like learning different types of martial arts, learning forensic science and stuff like that, learning stuff. So what I liked is that he's doing that in his college years, that he's already, like how Nick says, he learns a specific, trade, and that's it.
Because I would assume that this Bruce Wayne, by the time we get to the movie, is somewhere in his late 20s to early 30s.
Yeah.
Well, he's still young. This is like what we've talked about a couple issues back. That this is technically a year 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's a year 2 story.
There's a year 2 story.
That's what I'm saying. Like he's like in his late 20s to early 30s.
Yeah,
when he starts.
because by the last 4 or 5 chapters of the book, he's already Batman, but he's
getting introduced to
Yeah,
Gordon.
yeah.
He's getting introduced to the GCPD. Gordon starts bringing him in on cases.
he's seen how the criminals are corrupting Gotham and stuff like that, how they run things and stuff.
and that Batman's uncorruptible.
So what's very interesting about this is it's been, at least from my perspective, right? It's interesting because we haven't heard an origin story of Batman this in depth in so long.
Yeah.
Because I feel like one of the biggest complaints that we've had about Batman over the recent years is it's the same complaint that happens with Spider-Man. That how many times do we need to see the death happen to get Batman kickstarted? Right? So it's the same thing. Uncle Ben dies, Peter Parker becomes Spider-Man. The Waynes die, Bruce becomes Batman. We know that origin story.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
how do we get to the skills that are developed, the assets that he gets, the reason as to why the Batmobile is the way it is. And what's very interesting so far of everything you both explained is that it kind of reimagines the same origin that we've known for quite some time, but it refreshes it for a lot of different people. And granted, it's not that people are, forgetful or they might not know. If you're going to watch this movie, obviously you're some sort of Batman fan. But I feel like a majority of the people have missed out on those details for quite a while.
Yeah.
The League of Shadows, obvious, like that's one of the big factors for any Batman enthusiast. You already know that that's how he learns some martial arts or some form of combat, right?
Well, the thing is that when he's traveling the world, it implies that Alfred is teaching him martial arts in the mornings. Like him and Alfred are
Teaches him how to
sparring.
fight,
Alfred and him are sparring, and I like that because you could justifiably say, while he was out and about, while he was traveling the world, that he was also being taught by other masters.
Now, there is a bit of danger that I see with this, okay? Because in the trailer, we've noticed one thing that we discussed 2 issues back, right? Is this going to be a Bruce Wayne story or is this going to be a Batman story? Because one aspect of him traveling the world that we've seen written a couple different times or shown in some animated movies and TV shows is that Bruce, because he's so intellectual and a man of of world cultures and
He's
stuff,
worldly.
he is a man of culture. He's a man of class. So is Robert Pattinson going to display that type of Bruce Wayne in this movie?
Because the way that they talk about it is that he think of like Howard Hughes. He becomes he's very aloof. Nobody knows what he does. Nobody knows what he does. Nobody ever sees Bruce Wayne. They know he's in town, but that's about it.
Yeah, they don't know his lifestyle or anything because, this Bruce Wayne is focusing on just being Batman.
Yeah.
He's not focusing on being Bruce Wayne and showing how his image is. Right now, he just wants to stop the corruption in Gotham, and he's willing to do that, put the Batman life before his Bruce Wayne life.
He doesn't know how to separate them.
Yeah.
At this point, whereas Christian Bale in The Dark Knight has like a real Alfred has that one moment where he talks to him where he's like, where he goes, oh yeah, bats are nocturnal, and he goes, yeah, but Bruce Wayne isn't. Like you need to be out there, and people still need to see you.
Yeah,
they haven't had that conversation yet because what it seems like is that he's super aloof. That's why in the funeral scene, she goes, I've been trying to get a hold of you, but nobody seems to know how to get a hold of you. Nobody knows how to find you.
That's an interesting point you made.
And that she mentions also just like, oh yeah, but you haven't, your parents would help out with foundations and stuff, but I haven't seen you help out with anything.
Yeah.
And that's why it cuts to, him doing something, but as Batman.
Yeah, and I wish I could see you do more for the city because it's kind of like Bruce Wayne is now hoarding that money instead of spreading the wealth around.
Instead of doing something, being the man.
He hasn't learned
the
that
charity
yet.
man.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So he hasn't learned how to split the personalities.
Now, question before we move on to the funeral scene, because I feel like both of us are going to provide 2 different perspectives for the funeral scene.
Really quick before you get to the funeral scene and everything else, the other part of the book is Edward Nygma.
Yes.
So Edward Nygma is very interesting because Edward Nygma he's also very aloof, and he sees the system for what it is going through it.
Yeah.
As being an orphan and kind of seeing how everything else works, he can see how the criminal justice system is more or less corrupt, and because the Waynes are using it to funnel money. So they're putting money into the orphanage, then they're sending the money out as donations to these campaigns or to these crime families, and that's how they're funneling the money in different places without actually touching hands. He sees that. He then eventually, when he's like 16, I think it is, when Bruce Wayne starts getting into street racing, he almost gets run over by Bruce Wayne and his friends.
Because he's actually a food delivery person, Edward Nygma.
He's an Uber driver.
Yeah.
Or not an Uber driver,
Uber
but
Eats
he's
or
like,
something.
he's basically delivering food, and they almost run him over. And Edward Nygma sees that crime in this city has gone crazy, where these kids can just do whatever they want and nobody punishes them.
He sees that it's the privileged people that are doing whatever they want.
Yeah, because
no repercussions.
Yeah, and the thing is that's also pissing off Bruce because there's a scene where he's 16, he's driving his dad's muscle car, and he's flooring it, and the cops stop him. The cops then figure out who he is because they ask him, "What's your name?" And he goes, "My name is Bruce Wayne," and they go, "You're free to go." And Bruce is pissed. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And they go, "You're free to go." And it shows you the thought process that the cops have. If we give this kid a ticket, he has enough money to fight the ticket, and he will never see the inside of a jail cell. He'll never see the inside of a courtroom.
Yeah.
This ticket's just going to disappear. So what's the point in giving it to him?
This is interesting.
Yeah.
And Bruce is pissed because he's like, "No, the law says that I should be punished. I did something illegal. You need to punish me." And they were like, "No, it's fine. Get out of here. Drive your car. Go home."
Okay, so now going back to Edward Nygma. So I want to quickly discuss Edward Nygma because there's points I want to make about this book. I'm definitely going to pick up this book. I'm going to do the whole Audible thing you were talking about and seeing if I can get it over the weekend before watching this movie. Speaking of Edward Nygma, how much of him is in this book that could be essential for the movie?
The one thing that is interesting is he goes to yard sales because he's very aloof. He's kind of weird.
He likes puzzles.
He likes puzzles.
Yeah.
He likes what was it? He likes like games and different things. But one thing that he loves doing is collecting cards, like greeting cards from yard sales that have riddles inside of them. And you can see that inside the first trailer because one of the things the first thing that he hands the Batman is
A greeting
a
card.
greeting card.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are greeting cards that he's collected over the years. So once again, because he's bought them from different yard sales, there would be no record of them.
No one. Yeah, because they're super old and they would just be from random people.
So it would be hard for
trace back.
anybody to trace back to Edward Nygma.
So what I'm starting to like about this
Which is
conversation is that the book is not just setting up the characters, but it's also setting up the entire environment of Gotham.
That's what I
which
like
is
about it. Yeah.
very interesting because, again, we can just put a poster board of what Gotham, Batman, Riddler, and Gordon are like, right? We already know their characteristics and their features based on everything that we've seen. The book is giving us details and refining everything and saying, this is the world that Matt Reeves is going to be working with.
Yeah.
This is how this movie is going to go. It's great. It's fantastic, but it is a double-edged sword because how many people would have known about this book before going into the movie? I think that the only people that would have probably known would have been those hardcore enthusiasts, the people that are involved and want to be submitted into that world. So, people that are just going to go watch the Batman movie because it's Batman. Do you think that there might be a potential of them getting lost?
No.
I don't think so because, they're presenting stuff in the movie that I think that either general audiences will pick up. It's not, if you read the book, you're going to obviously,
It's like little tiny Easter eggs
yeah,
that you probably wouldn't have even crossed your mind or anything like that.
I'd be lying if I said you don't really need the book to enjoy the movie, but definitely reading the book and then watching the movie, you're getting more of an insight in it.
The book is more of like the paint job that goes on like those models that you build. Essentially, it's just the refinement.
It's the same thing I would say if I were to say that. Do you need to watch Clone Wars before watching Revenge of the Sith?
Okay.
No, I don't. But if I did, I'd enjoy Revenge of the Sith that much more.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is great. The other thing is that who was his love interest inside of the book? I forget her name.
It was another street race driver.
There was another street racer who he ends up kind of getting.
I think it started with a J.
Yeah. So this girl kind of starts giving you that Selena Kyle vibe because he knows that she's breaking the law, but she's doing it for not necessarily a good reason. But he kind of likes that kind of like that
the bad girl vibe.
Like that bad girl, like I'm breaking the law and I don't really care, shining her nose at the law.
Gotcha.
Edward Nygma actually plants a bomb in her car.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne, that's the first time Bruce Wayne ever saves anybody because while they're racing, her car is on fire because the bomb goes off, but it doesn't explode the car; it just sets it on fire.
Gotcha.
Because it's like Nygma's first bomb that he makes. So it's not perfect.
Now we do have to keep this conversation going because we're about to hit the hour mark
already.
We're in like 40 minutes right now, 35 minutes, so we got a couple minutes left. But I do want to discuss. Is there any other key points before we move on to the funeral scene about the book?
Not really.
Besides that, I mean, not really, because the end very much. It speeds through the end.
Yeah.
It like the last 4 or 5 chapters, it very much goes, and then he becomes Batman.
Which is that's exactly how it should be, because you don't want to. You got your appetizer.
Yeah.
You don't want to spoil the main course.
They talk about. I mean, if anything, there's like a good chapter where they talk about how Bruce built the suit.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the stages, which was
yeah,
nice.
Yes.
So that's what's it's if anything, it's worth just listening to that.
yeah,
Just
because
like him
it
talking
talks about him
the suit.
prototyping.
Do we spoil it, or should we?
No, if anything, I would love to leave that to the listeners.
Okay.
Honestly,
Yeah,
because
okay.
that was so much fun to listen to.
That's
Honestly.
okay. Now I'm excited because for me, the Batmobiles always do it for me, and this Batmobile.
Oh, they talk about the Batmobile.
It-
too.
this-
He also talks about building the Batmobile too.
We talked about it that this might possibly be my favorite Batmobile out of everything,
yeah.
besides the one from the Batman animated series.
I've been looking more into the Batmobile. It's much more wider than I thought it would
I
be.
love it.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's so much better. Oh my god, I was
that.
tired of the
I saw the
Tumbler.
Lego set for the one you have for the Batmobile at Walmart. It's only $100 still. So
It's only.
it's like how many?
Where's my wallet?
I think mine was like 110.
Yeah, that's with
plus-
tax and stuff.
But
yeah.
then with like shipping, I think it was like 120.
Yeah, no,
or
Walmart.
something like
Walmart.
I
The
kinda
Walmart near
want
my
it.
house has like 5 of them, and I was like,
that. Dude, I think they're yeah. It was
I kind of want it.
yeah, same
it was really cool. I'll bring it in next time.
definitely.
I'll bring it in next time.
Don't bring it in. Just
No, bring it in.
no. Don't bring it in. Don't spoil it. I want to build it myself and.
You can
See
just
how-
I can still
how does
build
that
that.
how does that
I can
spoil
still
it
build
if you
Because
look at it?
it's like I don't know. It's just
You've
I
already
wanna-
seen it. I showed you
No,
pictures.
he
of
wants
it.
to build in his hands and appreciate the build.
Yeah,
That's why,
exactly.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So
You're gonna build it with your pants off, aren't you?
probably.
Oh, I do. I will. I'm gonna be completely
just wanna-
naked.
Babe, what are you doing? I'm working here.
I just want to see Andy walk in and you're naked with Legos.
What do you want?
And he's just sweating. He's just sweating with Legos, and he's like, "Oh, I told you not to come home."
And then, like, let's say, like, he drops one, Joey eats it, and you're like, "Ah, get it!"
This is mine.
Did you see the Batmobile Hot Wheels replica they did?
No.
Yeah,
For
dude.
the for the new movie.
for the new movie. So Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels has one.
Hot Wheels has like a replica,
Dude,
but
I
it's
need
like
to-
scaled to size because Hot Wheels always scales everything to size.
Yeah.
It is freaking awesome. It has like I think it like lights up on the inside. I think like has some sort of smoke, but it's like
Dang,
500
it's already
something
the
bucks.
Search thing.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it really?
super. Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
so
sick.
good. It's so cool. Not the tiny Hot Wheel car. It's like the replica.
Well, that's how
that one right there. Bottom right there.
That's actually how they did the Futura.
Right there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it is a beast.
See it?
Oh wait, hold on. So
Oh wow, that's
There it is,
sick.
that is amazing.
wait,
It's
does
got
it-
little Batman in it.
Oh my god, does it have a remote control?
Oh, it does.
It's an RC car.
It's an RC
Don't
car?
tell me that.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and it has a little Batman
There's
in
a
it.
little Batman.
So I'm going
in
to
it.
insert this
Oh my
picture in the
God.
video file. So
And it
everyone can
has
see
It's
it here.
$500.
It's 500, right?
Yeah, it's
Guys.
500.
Yeah.
Oh my god, look at the interior.
I told you.
It has interior. Oh, that's so sick.
I legit
look
want
at
it.
it.
I love it.
That's so cool.
I love it.
Okay, we got to move on from
Oh
the
my
Batman though.
god.
Oh, it goes to the.
I told you.
That is
I'm
not Batmobile isn't
That's-
included without a Batcave. No,
no, yeah, that's
that's
true.
so cool.
That's true.
That's cool.
I would honestly like save up money. That is worth more
So
than
this
the
is
PlayStation
the
5 for
website.
me.
The website I'm looking on is Mattel
Right?
Creations. Mattel
Dude, all I want to do is take that outside, put ramps up, and then just
Oh, I would not touch that. That stays
dude,
like.
just
I would be driving it like.
I got you.
I got you, and then just see it. Dude, I want to see Rene set fires.
Little pyro thing.
All right, we gotta move on. We gotta move on.
Okay, so anyway, the
Yeah.
funeral scene.
So
The-
you
the-
haven't seen this, right?
I think I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I haven't
Okay,
fully
so-
sat
So
through it.
you're gonna discuss the details.
Go
I
for
want to
it.
discuss
Go for
the
it, don't worry.
aesthetics first.
Do you want me just to describe what happens?
Yes.
So the funeral scene starts with Bruce Wayne going to the funeral for the mayor that was in the very first trailer. While he is there, you hear Commissioner Gordon talking about how the DA has gone missing. You do have what's it called? You have Bruce Wayne talking to the new mayoral candidate, and that's where you have that little conversation of her saying she's trying to get a hold of him. He's very aloof, and he hasn't really done it. He hasn't really done anything. Bruce Wayne introduces himself to Commissioner Gordon and not Commissioner Gordon, to Detective Gordon and the Commissioner, because
This is a very early scene.
Yeah, I think this is maybe 15, 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
It has to be, because they're not even showing Edward Nygma at that point. He's a shadow at this point. I think that so then it goes in. They're talking about how the DA went missing. After that, you can then hear people screaming outside, and you hear all of this yelling and everything's going on, and you can then see. One of the bigger things before that is Bruce Wayne seeing a little boy, the mayor's son, there at his dad's funeral, and it brings up those feelings of like parents dying and everything else. Batman.
This is the Batman stuff.
This is Batman
Emotional damage.
Yeah. Then you start having all that screaming and everything else. The car slams into it. You see Bruce Wayne jump in front of the kid, pushes him out of the way. The DA comes out. Bruce Wayne does see Edward Nygma before it all happens, though, and he's
on top of the
top of the cathedral.
Yeah, I saw that part.
And he's just a shadow. And then as the noise comes and the car breaks through, you can see everybody else is looking at the door, and you see Edward Nygma's figure turn, and he starts walking towards the exit. So cool. Then you see the DA come out. He has a phone, and you can hear Edward Nygma on the phone, and it says "to the Batman," and that's pretty much where the scene ends. Mm-hmm. Awesome. No, because Bryan can attest to it. It's shot so beautifully. Like this is a scene I cannot wait for IMAX for.
So what I'm getting from this is that I feel like Matt Reeves, and we talked about this 2 issues back. This is issue 85, and we're doing a little bit of a preview. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't checked out issue 85 of Keeping Up with the Nerds, go check that out, because we do talk about some stuff about the Batman. But what I am excited for is I feel like Matt Reeves had an initial vision for this movie, and this vision is essentially, it's a very mystery forward movie. It's going to be that, which is something that we haven't had in a Batman movie in a long time. Mm-hmm. But something that's very cool is that aesthetically speaking, you have this contrast of like light and dark, and it's not so much like a dark vibe. You know how like when you lower your contrast or you heighten the contrast, and you get that very like light dark like look to a photo? Yeah. That's what that looks like. It's high in contrast. And it gets you to it gets you kind of feeling like you're kind of placed in this emotional state where you kind of can relate to Bruce Wayne, where you're trying to figure out what the situation is like. Yeah.
I noticed though, was it just me, or did you kind of feel like there was a gray filter over everything?
That's what I'm talking about. It's a high contrast.
I was just gonna mention
it's a high
that.
contrast.
Yeah. It feels like
it's a high contrast, but it really does feel like, in case anybody doesn't know what that means, it feels like there's just a filter of gray.
Yes,
that's the thing. It's just over everything.
Because
you're trying, all the colors bright.
I have a feeling that it's very much an aesthetic to make you feel like how Bruce Wayne would initially feel in a situation like that.
Well, my other thing is that the reason why I like it too is because it feels like it feels foggy, because you don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
You're as lost as Bruce Wayne is, and you're trying to figure it out. Because I really love the idea that it is a detective movie.
Also, have you noticed that the colors, at least, and this is what I want to see. I've been paying attention to a lot of movies where they kind of use color, and granted, it is a thing that most directors use to kind of like initiate a scene to show off.
What?
But the colors that are featured in that sequence is pure black, white, and gray.
Yes.
There's nothing, and granted, it is a funeral. People are going to wear black and white, but even the church seats are like a very dark shade of brown.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I think back in clips of the funeral scene, in my head, I'm thinking it in black and white.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
So it's like a noir kind of feeling to it.
You know what I would love? I think if the movie could be seen in black and white.
How much you want to bet?
They might do that. Yeah.
How much you want to bet that they'll do that exact same thing that they did with Logan?
They did that with. I was just gonna say
because they did it with Logan, but well, not only that, but also this is the second time that a Batman movie or a Batman Askew movie has been considered an artisan movie.
Yes.
Because this has already gotten the title of an artisan film. Yep. And the only other one that got it was the Joker. So I'm really looking forward to it just because I feel like it's not just a Batman movie. It's a depth into the psyche of Batman. It's the
There
depth
it is.
of the psyche of Gotham. The
Yeah.
depth of what exactly does it mean to be criminals and crime bosses and how what is the law? And stuff
So-
like
What
that.
I like to say is that for me, it feels like very much like Zodiac, the movie.
Yes.
It feels just like with Jake Gyllenhaal
it-
figuring
We
out all
talked
his
about
puzzles.
this.
Yeah.
It
We
feels
talked about
like-
this as well.
It feels like a
Uh,
mixture between Zodiac and Seven.
What about
Yes.
Mr. Robot?
Oh yeah,
Because here's the reason as to why. So for me, Mr. Robot was, if anything, the perfect example of what framing does to storytelling.
The reason why I'm saying not really Mr. Robot is because I always felt in Mr. Robot that the main character was an untrustworthy narrator, and you can't trust what
No,
you're seeing
I'm not
on
talking
the
about
screen.
that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the framing.
Okay, so you're talking about the way that things are framed and the colorization of the actual
Exactly,
show,
because
of the
there's
movie.
certain
Okay.
sequences in Mr. Robot
Okay.
where he's in, not to spoil anything because the first season it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You said it yourself. I think it was like the less you know about the show, the better
No, you
you'll
said
enjoy
it.
it. Or
I
you
did
said
say
it,
that. I
yeah.
did that, yeah.
So there's certain sequences of events in Mr. Robot where he is the main character is essentially talking to a psychologist, and the way that it's framed is he is a small figure in a larger room, even though the room is not large itself. So, for example, if we were to take this box right here, right, and this is visualization, so picture a TV screen, right? The main character would be on the bottom right corner, taking about maybe 20% of the screen, and then the room, for whatever reason, is more elongated, and then there's a picture frame on the other top left corner that is only taking 10% of it away, 10% of the space. So what the directors and the producers of the show have talked about is it's supposed to show how little he feels in life. And I kind of have a feeling that that's what Matt Reeves is trying to do with everything that you just said, Nick, where it's a very gray filtered, high contrast movie where it's very foggy, very grainy. And if we not just look at the funeral scene, but the trailer sequences as well, if you notice that, again, you have a lot of dark imagery where the Batmobile is trying to chase after the Penguin, where the Riddler is pulling the tape apart. It's very dark in contrast as well.
I do have to say, though, it dulls the color in certain scenes, but you can also see in different scenes of the trailer that colors pop.
Colors
Like,
pop.
Colors are.
But there's a
look
reason as to why.
amazing in
There's a
certain-
reason as to why, because Logan did that as well.
Yeah.
Logan works as a black and white film because, if anything, I hopefully I'm right with this, but correct me if I'm wrong. Logan was filmed as a black and white movie that was then made into color, right? That it had the idea of
It had
being-
the idea that it was supposed to,
supposed
gonna
to be black and white.
Well, because it was done as an old school western.
Exactly.
That's why.
Yes.
And the because there's only two genres that really work well in black and white. Well, three really. That's
Noirs, westerns.
noirs, westerns, and samurai films.
Yes.
Those three are like movies that do really well in like black and
So
white.
you think that Matt Reeves filmed this as a noir?
I think he filmed it as noir.
So then he has to release it in black and white. And if it's in black and white,
he could. Yeah.
No, he could. And honestly,
probably
and,
will.
and this is what you're gonna do. DC is going to release this. It's gonna have its full run.
Yeah.
Then right when they're about to take it out of, right when they should be taking it out of theaters, the black and white cut, and then it runs another 3 months in the movie.
No.
oh yeah. And can we
Oh,
go
yeah.
see that in IMAX if that release
Dude,
if that
if
happens?
that happens, I'll totally do it. But I'm telling you right now, that is a moneymaker right there. If I made money from like 5 to 6 months with this, and then the last month that it's in the theaters, I then go, cool. The next 2 months, all black and white. It's gonna be what we have, the black and white cut. Do you know how many more people would go in just to go see it again? I've already seen it 8 times. I'm gonna go watch it again in black and white.
He's seen it 8 times and it hasn't even been out in theaters yet.
Dude,
He can't
the
even
day- hold
talk
on.
about it.
The day that we go, that as of right now, I would have already seen the movie, and I'm about to see it again tomorrow. That's how that
You're not
works.
Technically
lying.
speaking,
Yeah.
Nick has seen this movie, and then
As of right
the Men
now.
in Black
As of right
showed
now,
up,
he's
and they did
seen
the
it.
Flash, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I haven't seen it yet."
As of right now, with you watching it, I would have already seen it. I know what's happening.
At least 3 times that now.
And now and I'm getting ready to watch it again.
Nick has called out of work on Friday to watch the movie 3 times in one day.
I told my staff because my boss was like, "You can't leave early." Like on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I told my staff, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave.
I'm gonna be gone.
I'm gonna be gone. like if there's kids that are late here, I'm gonna say I got an emergency. Like that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
No,
But-
but there's an actual emergency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an actual emergency.
Yeah, my bat got
On
sick, and I needed to go take care of him. So, but
Can we jump into, or you want more points on it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
the other thing that I thought was really interesting was because we do know that at some point this movie takes place at a coliseum. I don't know why.
The Coliseum.
Yeah, so if you look inside of a couple of the newer trailers that come out, you can see that a coliseum is exploding and Batman is flying from the rooftops, jumping as things are exploding.
Okay.
Yeah, because I
Awesome.
think where that is, it's gonna start in like either the Wayne Tower or like the Clock Tower, because it seems like that's where Riddler is.
Edward's taking him somewhere.
Yeah, he's taking that's where it starts, and then like as the midst of fighting, he tells him
So-
maybe there's like bombs all over the city.
Yeah.
and stuff.
So really quick before we end, what exactly are your theories for this movie? What do you?
It's gonna be
what do
good.
you- what do you, besides that?
Done.
No, but I mean, like, what do you guys think is going to happen in this movie? Like, from what you've seen, what are you expecting?
I feel that we're gonna get by the time this movie ends, we're gonna get that Bruce needs to also find a way. He's gonna find a way or realize he needs to balance both lives. That
Yes.
he can't just take on Gotham as just the Batman. He needs to tackle it both the Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Right.
I
Okay.
feel like that's what he's gonna learn.
Cool. For me, I have a feeling that the trailer, or not the trailer, but the preview sequence that we saw of the funeral scene is the intro of that movie. Excuse me. And the reason I say that is because I have a feeling that Warner Brothers and DC is being very smart about this movie because they know what they have.
Yeah.
They know the type of material that they're dealing with and how they're handling. It only makes sense for this to kind of be the spark that lights up the Batman movie.
Yeah.
You have the car crashing through the funeral, the note that says this is for the Batman or whatever. Something happens, and then title card. That's probably what I think is going to happen.
I like that, but I really do feel that the first trailer that we had, that is the opening sequence.
Gotcha.
Because it's the footsteps.
Okay.
Because you haven't seen Batman yet, and you haven't seen anything else, and it's a beautiful introduction to Bruce.
Now, we talked about this when we went to go see Jackass Forever, that, what Rene said is exactly what I feel is potentially going to happen, because one of the problems for me that I've seen in a lot of Batman movies is that you have either a really good Bruce Wayne but an okay Batman, or a really good Batman but an okay Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And that was my problem with Christian Bale, is that he was a pretty good Bruce Wayne but an okay Batman. Was it?
No.
Yeah. Well,
Or was it the other way
which one?
around?
No, he's a good Batman, but an okay Bruce Wayne.
That's it. Because Ben Affleck was a better Bruce Wayne, but kind of like a weird Batman,
He could have been an amazing Batman given the opportunity.
given the opportunity, right?
Yeah, because when you see other stuff with him as Batman, which I'm almost positive when we see him in The Flash, he's going to be an awesome Batman.
Yes, a fully grown one, matured,
Yeah.
where he is actually capable of doing some things. And I have a feeling that what Matt Reeves is trying to do is he's trying to marry the two, just like Rene said. We're going to get a Bruce Wayne that doesn't know how to be a Bruce Wayne, but we're going to get a Batman that's just kind of out of control, which is why we get that sequence where he just beats that thug to like...
So
Smithereens.
I saw an interview of when Robert Pattinson was filming that scene. He said, he says when you see him like take him on with one hand and then he drops to the floor, right?
Yeah.
He told Matt, like, what if I just do a couple more after and whispers, "I am vengeance"? Because in Robert Pattinson's head, he was whispering to that as the thug was like going out.
Okay.
Like that was the last thing he heard, and I was like, "That's a cool little thing that, like that mentality." I was like, "Dang,
The last words you'll remember.
Is vengeance.
vengeance!"
No, the one thing is that I do think that is after the scene where he finds out that the Waynes were corrupt and he can't trust Alfred. I
Okay.
feel like
Yeah.
he has nothing else to do but go out on the street.
Yeah.
And he ends up running into muggers and then going far, just way too
Pushing
far.
the limits. Yeah.
Yeah, going way too far. And I have a feeling that Catwoman's going to show up and then pull him off.
Yeah.
Because that's a known trope inside of the thing of right when Bruce Wayne is like done, where he's like, I'm going to cross my line.
Can you do me a favor? Can you see who wrote the Batman?
He
Is
has-
it Matt Reeves or is it someone else?
I think Matt Reeves definitely co-wrote it.
Okay.
I don't know if he wrote it though.
So the other points I want to make before you take over, Nick, is
least you know.
I'm hoping that the little Easter eggs that we do get
Right.
are not super intrusive. Like if we're going to get a Dick Grayson cameo, that it's kind of like. Granted, there has to be. There has to be something, you know. I hope that it's in passing and not like a main feature.
So it's written by both Matt Reeves and Peter Craig, and Peter Craig is notorious for The Town,
Bad Boys,
Bad Boys for
Mockingjay.
Life, and The Hunger Games.
Dude's had some. He has some bangers on his belt.
So yeah.
The Batman. Oh, he also wrote the new Top Gun movie.
Ooh.
He wrote both Mockingjay Part 1 and 2.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. If this movie's fire, if the Batman is amazing, I'm gonna be super excited for Top Gun.
So now,
So really quick, I
Be like, dude,
actually
stop. Come
Googled.
on.
I actually Googled when the Batman will be on HBO Max, and it says it'll be on HBO Max 45 days after the theatrical run.
That makes sense.
that's pretty
it's a
interesting.
full because that's
Yeah.
a full release.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's perfect, so that way you can then get it. Because
So I'm
once
just
again,
gonna watch it here at the shop every day on
dude,
loop.
oh,
Like-
man. Dude, wasn't that great? Let's watch it again.
Hey,
It's
guys!
over again.
again.
I think.
Oh
Renee-
dang! I just missed that. Oh, that.
Rene, do you think you should change it? I don't know what you just said right now.
What? You just came into the store? Oh, you just missed the first 5 minutes? Restart.
Restart.
But I do hope this. I hope that if Warner Brothers loves to milk properties that they know they have bangers for.
Yes.
If they are going to make a sequel, I need Matt
there's
Reeves.
gonna be a sequel.
There's going to be a sequel. But if there is, let's just hypothetically, you know, because you never
There
know.
will be, but okay.
Okay. Matt Reeves needs to be on board, and he needs to have full reins of this project, because if this movie does end up being the banger that it could potentially be,
That's
which
asking
we
a-
all know it's going to be.
You're asking a lot for Warner Brothers not to interfere.
The
Look, if Warner
No, 'cause
Brothers,
you know why?
if Warner
No.
Brothers walks through the door, if Warner Brothers was an entity, right, and it's about to knock the door down on
Yeah.
Matt Reeves, and be like, "Hey, we're bringing you in. We got to hold that door down." Be like, "Reeves, do whatever you can."
no, because you know why? I'm noticing that they're not interfering in these artisan films. If it's an artisan film, they don't touch them
No,
because
okay.
they did the same thing with the Joker,
Yeah, oh, that's
where
true.
where they just
What's his
went,
name?
Do it. Just do whatever you got to
What was
do.
the director of he did the Hangover for the Joker.
Oh,
What was the director again?
mean, you
Philip?
got the computer.
I don't know, I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
it's-
Thought someone would know at the top of their head.
anyways,
No,
Nick,
off the top of my head.
go for it. Give us
so-
your 30-minute spiel.
No, I
We still haven't even talked about Uncharted yet.
I know,
know,
we'll get
we
to
will.
it. We'll get to
We'll-
it.
it's a 20-minute conversation.
Yeah. No, yeah. I really do feel that the first trailer is going to be our intro, because I do feel like we're going to get into that whole. Because honestly, the greatest way to open this movie is the tape scene. I'm not gonna lie. That is one of the greatest ways to open it, because you can then do the same thing that
Todd
you did,
Phillips. Okay.
where it's just like where they
Todd
just,
Phillips.
where you just
Got
hear
it.
that, and then you see the. Because think about it. Think of how messed up that would be if you into the movie, and all you hear is just tape getting pulled and seeing the Riddler wrapping a head.
Suffocating him.
Yeah, just suffocating him as he's squirming to get out. You know how messed up that is.
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's intense. Yeah,
That's an intense scene.
this is PG-13, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's
It's
Borderline.
Really,
borderline PG-13.
They had to edit it to make it
Yeah.
PG-13.
Which I would love to see an R cut. That'd be amazing. But yeah, I do think that it is going to be I think it's going to be that Riddler is talking to two different people at once, without understanding that he's talking to the same person.
Okay.
I think that he's going to be communicating with the Batman to clean up Gotham by telling him that the Waynes were corrupt, and not understanding that he's also talking to Bruce Wayne. Because I don't think that he knows who the Batman is. Because people have been saying, oh yeah, I think Riddler is kind of hinting that Riddler knows who the Batman is.
Oh, I see what you mean. Where you're fighting crime, but you're forgetting the biggest hit, which is Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, that's not bad. And Nick once again is right.
but because that's so compelling.
It is.
That's so compelling of this thing of the Riddler is going like you're trying your best to solve crime, but you're dealing with the symptoms.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with the actual plague that's polluting our city. It's the Waynes.
The Waynes are the source of it.
The Waynes are the
what started
source.
it.
They're the money that's funneling all of this crime. Go after Bruce. That's why he's aloof, because Bruce Wayne is helping with all these crime bosses. In reality, he's talking to Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And I think that's so interesting because he can't tell the Riddler, no, I'm not.
And this is probably where that relationship between Bruce and Alfred kind of like they try to work it out.
Where it's warping.
Yeah, because now it's like, okay, now Alfred is right in that sense where Bruce has to show face to clear his name of the Waynes because Batman can't do the work that Bruce Wayne can.
Yeah,
exactly.
Bingo. All right, that makes sense. That was the end of that's the end of the movie.
That's right.
Y'all, there it is.
But I do think that it's going to be kind of like this interesting Seven-esque movie where I think that the Riddler after the second murder, I believe the Riddler is going to call in and basically go, I'm turning myself in.
I hope he doesn't. I hope that he ends up.
Here's the reason why I think he's going to turn himself in. It's the diner scene where he does a riddle inside of his coffee, and Batman is outside watching him as they're arresting him, as like the entire full force of the Gotham City Police Department is going on. I feel like at that point it's already become the Seven movie that it is, where all of my traps have already been activated. Everything is already set in place. You think that I'm the Riddler? I can't be the Riddler if I'm incarcerated. How could I have done this?
I see.
Yeah.
And it's going to be this giant mental mind game of him, if Bruce Wayne having to keep on going into the interrogation room, asking him, where is it? Why did you do this? And then Riddler not telling him, but telling him what he wants to know, playing this mental chess with him. And I think that would be awesome.
He escaped without escaping.
There is one scene that I saw online, and it's I don't know if you guys seen it. It's when Batman's talking to Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
In the interrogation room.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's so great because Batman and Jim are talking, and they're talking about how Batman was just coming back from the Iceberg Lounge, and he saw one of the lead detectives there looking at them, and he's like, and Jim's like, well, what should we do? And Batman just kind of turns around, just socks Jim Gordon, and so that way it shows like they're not talking about him, like they're not talking about the corrupt cop that Batman just noticed and stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like where it's going so far.
Yeah. So that way nobody. Well, because think about it. If you think that there's an honest cop, what's the first thing that we're gonna do? We're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Because there can't be an honest cop in Gotham.
Yeah.
Because then that hurts everybody's bottom line.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's going to kind of go. I think you're going to have this like nice little back and forth with Jim of him trying to protect Bruce.
Yeah.
At one point, he's going to be framed for something.
I feel like
he's going to be framed for something because that's the reason why everybody's chasing the Batman. He's going to have to He's going to have to clear up his name and everything else. Selena Kyle's going to play a big part. She's going to think that she's the daughter of Falcone, and then you're gonna have this giant thing where he's using her to get information,
taking from like Long Halloween.
Yeah, because that's a big thing in Long Halloween where like she thinks that's her dad, and then finds out that it's not, and then she just kind of like goes like, yeah, you can go screw yourself. But yeah, I think that's kind of where we're going. By the end of the movie, I don't want anyone to find out who he is. I'm okay if Selena finds out, because that makes sense.
Yeah, without Bruce knowing that she knows, I'd be okay with that.
What?
If Selena knows who Batman is, but Batman doesn't know that
Selena knows.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
That's actually a great idea. I don't like. I actually really don't. I'm kind of over the whole thing of by the end of it, his villains know who he is.
That's what I don't like either. Yeah.
Because they always do that. By the end of it, Batman either reveals or they figure out who he is.
That's why I want the escape but not really escaping aspect to stick, because I'm with you in that, where it's like the reveal, like stop revealing yourself to your villains. I'm more along the lines of stop killing off your villains after one movie.
Exactly.
Like you don't.
Oh,
It's not that you have to showcase them in a sequel or down the line to
Let
make
me
like a
make a
sinister
rogues gallery.
gang. Yeah, just make a rogues gallery. They don't have to come back ever, but it's that factor that they're still out there.
See,
It's a very lazy writing aspect where
yeah.
it's like,
but
I'll
I
just
would-
kill them off so you don't have to worry about
Well,
them again.
so my thing is that I would love, especially if they were to give more movies to Matt Reeves of Batman, and for him to build a rogues gallery, and then to have a Arkham Asylum
Kind of a vibe.
vibe,
story,
where,
yeah.
But instead you turn it into an Escape from New York-esque movie
I like that.
with Batman.
well, then
inside
it's Arkham City at that
But
point. Yeah.
the interesting thing is that, instead, you can then have the trial of Batman,
Ooh, that'd be good.
where it's all of his rogues galleries
Yeah.
putting Batman on trial
Yeah.
for stopping them, and that's such a good story.
What if
for an
Matt
animated
Reeves handled the
series.
Court of Owls storyline?
They well, he already said that
He wants to do
He
one.
already said that no, that was he didn't say he wanted to
Oh.
do Court of Owls. He said he wanted to do Mr. Freeze.
Mm.
He said Freeze. If I get a sequel, it's Freeze. I'm doing Heart of Ice.
Oh wait, but Robert Pattinson wants to do Court of
Robert
Owls.
Pattinson
Yeah.
wants to do Court of Owls.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which would be good, honestly. Seeing a Court of Owls live action.
I'm not
movie
gonna
is so
lie
good.
though. I wouldn't be surprised if they're saying I want to do the Court of Owls and the Court of Owls, and the reason why Matt Reeves is saying, oh yeah, like I want to do Mr. Freeze is because Court of Owls is already in this.
That's the thing. Yeah.
Like you can't deal with corruption in Gotham without talking about the Court of Owls.
yeah.
They're gonna tease it.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can always make this a trilogy where it's like, oh yeah, like you see like owls in certain places, or like you see like an owl
The
on a
insignia.
notebook.
Well, that's the thing is that with Batman stuff is that a lot of criminals or a lot of like the villains, the rogues, right? For the series, they end up having some sort of insignia and some sort of marking. So it'd be interesting to see maybe that's where the Easter eggs come in. Where are the other characters? Where are the other rogues? You'll see the insignias. The Court of Owl will be like an owl stamp somewhere, and that's where you know that that's where they may be, or that's where they've had influence. Maybe the Joker will have like a Joker card, but I don't think it'll be here. It'll be somewhere else. But
I
feel like we're not gonna get a Joker.
don't.
in this
No.
franchise.
I don't want a Joker.
Yeah.
not yet.
I don't want it.
Not yet.
No, no, I'm being serious. I just don't.
Yeah.
No,
don't,
it's too soon. Just
don't give me Joker.
Yeah.
They could make 5 of these movies. Don't give me a Joker. I don't care. Because I want to see other people. Give me Mad Hatter. Give me what was
Calendar
it?
Man.
Give me, dude. Calendar Man.
Calendar Man is
dude. Calendar Man
super-
is like if you watch Long Halloween. Long Halloween is scary as hell because of Calendar Man.
yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? You can have Killer Croc, Bane. There's so many other villains that have
I
been
would
like
do Bane.
missed.
Isn't there a puppet? What was his name?
Oh, that's Jigsaw.
yeah,
Is it Jigsaw? It's Jigsaw.
yeah. No, it's Scarface.
Oh, Scarface. Yeah.
That's his name, Scarface. Where
Yeah.
he's what was it? Where he's an
The
accountant.
ventriloquist.
yeah.
Where it's Scarface and the ventriloquist. Yeah.
That's the same guy that peeled the Joker's face, right? Before
No, that's
that
the
was
doll maker.
the doll maker. That one. That's the one I'm talking about.
and then they have the doll maker is interesting because that gets dark as heck.
That's why.
That's a serial
Or
killer.
Professor Pig.
Professor Pig would be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's like basically kind of like.
He wants to make the superior human,
Yeah.
and he does experiments by kidnapping people.
Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah,
And
that'd
like,
be great.
but he modifies people, so he chops people up and then puts like other limbs on other people, so that way they can become strong. Or he like does brain surgery on people, so that we can turn off the pain centers in their brains, so that way they don't feel any pain anymore. It's
It's
crazy.
super great.
Yeah, it's a horror film. It
Yeah,
becomes
that's
Saw.
a horror film. Yeah, I can see it getting darker and darker as these movies come out. And
Well,
stuff.
not only
not?
that, but also
Yeah.
do Professor Pig, but make it Saw. Just
That'd be great.
that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy with Batman in it. Yeah,
Like a Batman with like a Saw-esque character. Oh my god.
that's
Where
great.
he's just kidnapping people and like he's just like and he's killing them, but he's trying to figure out who is the top of them, and then once he does that, he then morphs them together.
Yeah.
And like takes the best parts of them and turns them into like a giant like monster. Oh my god. There's so many things you could do.
Well, if you guys can't tell, we're super excited. I've gotten more excited just talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which is great.
Clayface. I want
Yeah.
to see Clayface in real life.
Dude,
That'd be really cool.
I really do. Clayface would be really cool. Clayface is so hard though. He's so CGI.
I mean, it'd be very. Obviously, you would need a bigger
Make
budget.
this, as long as you stay practical for these movies, I would enjoy it.
That's the thing. If you did it off of how the animated series did it, because I loved how the story they tackled on for Clayface. He just changed into different people. That's the thing. You can just honestly just go, have him pose as different people and just hire actors, and obviously. But
then how do you showcase the end?
But at the end, that's the thing. That's where all your budget goes into, is making him into this giant clay monster.
Yeah, because he becomes a giant clay monster and he can like morph his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have that scene where he once he gets electrocuted, he can't control it anymore because he can't control his atoms.
Yeah,
those are all awesome ideas. You can even also a Deathstroke movie.
Yeah,
a movie where
finally Deathstroke. Yeah, move forward.
You can finally get a Deathstroke movie where I say put a Deathstroke movie all the way at the end, because then you can do the whole like Hush-esque thing, but do a Deathstroke version, or even do it the same way where the Riddler is behind it all, where his first villain is now getting all the villains from all the other movies, and he's trying to have Batman killed. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that would be amazing as
There's
revenge.
a contract on Batman.
There's a contract on Batman that the Riddler put out on him, because from the first movie going into like the fourth or fifth movie or whatever movie it was in, that's why. That would be amazing. I would love it if the Riddler was his arch nemesis.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
I know we need to move
we
forward.
need to move on. Keep an eye out for content related to the Batman right after this podcast releases. Again, we are watching this movie at an early fan release, so we will be writing articles, maybe doing a mini cast. We're going to be talking about pretty much what we're going to be doing for the movie before the podcast releases next week, because this is a movie we're really excited for, as you guys can tell, and there's a lot to dissect. So keep an eye out. Again, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and go check out keepingitwiththenerds.com for all the up-to-date information on when this stuff comes out. With that said, I say we should just go into Uncharted territory and talk about the next topic that we have. Uncharted, ladies and gentlemen.
Nick was so disappointed.
Come on, that was a good one, though. Give me credit. That was a good one.
Get the hell out.
Get out.
Get out.
We just came back from watching Uncharted today. I know that the movie came out, last week as of recording this podcast?
I thought it came out like 2 weeks ago.
A week or two ago, something like that. But this is a movie that I'm going in not having played the games, only seen a couple of the Let's Plays from other players. I don't have a PlayStation 4 or 3 when it came out, so I wasn't unable to play it. But I really love the treasure hunting story aspect of like certain stories, and this really captivated me. National Treasure. It's freaking awesome.
It was so funny because I sent it to you inside. I was like, "Oh, listen, if it's even half of National Treasure, I think I'm gonna like it."
And I say it was better. No, National Treasure is a classic.
National Treasure.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing. National Treasure is still a good, superior treasure hunting movie than this one.
Because my main thing is I like the puzzles more in National Treasure than I do inside of
Uncharted.
This was very fantasy. National Treasure was more logical in a way.
Well, now, in this one, it was basically like, oh yeah, we got to figure out where to go, not of like how to get into another room.
I watch National Treasure again. Well, that you're talking about, I'm just like, I gotta watch it again
because I liked National Treasure. I can't believe that's our pinnacle. But that's when we were like, oh, not Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
National Treasure.
Yeah.
Nick Cage.
We're showing our age, honestly.
Forget Harrison Ford. National Treasure. No, but okay, but that's not where I'm going. Okay, I like Indiana Jones and National Treasure because there are multiple stops.
Yeah.
There are multiple things that I have to collect to get to point A. The thing in Uncharted was I already have one piece, which we didn't see. It was found off screen. Then all we need to do is get one more piece. Then those two pieces go into like a door.
Yeah.
Then we get a map, and we're done.
So
now we just go.
If they showcased getting both keys, that would have been maybe 2 hour and 20 minutes.
It would have been long. It would have overstayed its welcome.
Yeah, it would have. It would have been well over 2 hours. This was an hour and 55-minute movie.
So before we start talking about it, I'll say this. Like I said, I haven't played the games, but both of you guys did.
Yes.
So the expectations for some of us were, as long as it's half of what National Treasure is and it's fun, it should be good.
I just wanted it to be fun.
I'm on that same boat where I came into this movie saying, as long as it's fun It doesn't need to be a classic. It doesn't need to be like super awesome.
It doesn't need to be top tier.
Yeah, I just need to watch this movie and then turn to my friends and be like, yeah, this scene's going to be badass, which we did a couple times.
There was a couple of times.
Also,
what was it? I think I checked my watch near the end.
Yeah, I saw you looked at your watch. Yeah,
I checked my watch near the end, and it wasn't because I saw it and I was like, oh, this feels like the end. Mm-hmm. Like this feels like we're getting to the end of the movie, and that's when I checked my watch because it was about 10 o'clock by the time I checked my watch.
So, quick summary, no more than like 3 minutes, hopefully. This movie is based off the Uncharted video game series. There's 4 of them, loosely, because it doesn't have a storyline that's related to the series. It's a completely new storyline with a completely different but somewhat similar, if I'm not mistaken.
So they
origin story.
They took scenarios from the 3rd one and then took the backstory aspect from the 4th one,
right? And
kind of went along with that. That's the thing, and that's the only references they took was from both the 3rd movie and the 4th movie.
And so they built.
Games.
No, games. And then a little bit of because they do kind of explain that he grew up on the street. He grew up inside of an orphanage and stuff like. There's little tiny.
He's got the street vibe because he's able to pickpocket.
Yeah,
yes.
And that's something interesting.
Yeah.
What I did like was that this is a Nathan Drake that newcomers don't necessarily have to have any sort of knowledge to like enjoy.
Yeah.
It's a very fresh and very well built Nathan Drake, and Tom Holland played. Like, if you know anything about this Nathan Drake, he's very suave. He's like Indiana Jones mixed with, like, what would you say? Like, Indy mixed with, who else is, like, super suave?
I don't know, because I would also say that Indy, I would say he's a modern Indy.
There it is. Okay, a modern Indy. Because he's flipping bottles, being the bartender, soft-talking the ladies and stuff.
Yeah, because Indiana Jones, he may not be a solid pickpocket, but Indiana Jones, he's witty. He's talented. He
very knowledgeable.
If Indiana Jones was done in the 2020s, he would do parkour. He would do these other things.
He would know how to fight.
He would know how to fight and everything else. Because it's made in the 20s, in the 1920s, he doesn't. Yeah. And he's more of like a man's man, you know.
Well, and it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah. So to kind of summarize what this movie is about, we get the origin story of how he grows up. He meets what's his name? Sullivan something.
Sullivan, but
Victor Sullivan.
Victor Sullivan, but we call him as Sully.
Yeah. And they basically embark on an adventure. Nathan is trying to only do this to figure out what happened to his brother. Sully is trying to basically find this treasure that's worth billions and billions because it's his life's work essentially.
No, he just likes money.
But he mentions it as his life's work.
Well, he's been looking for this treasure. Yeah,
he's been looking for it for maybe like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, they go on an adventure. They travel the world. They meet another thief, apparently, Chloe, who is a character from the video games as well.
Yes, she was introduced in Uncharted 2.
And what about the villain?
That's a new villain.
That's a brand new villain as well. Yeah. So that's pretty much the only similarities that we see in everything else.
All the villains and everything like that, they're all to the movie.
Yes.
They didn't take a villain from anything else, but that end villain that we'll get to, Roman is from 4. Roman is from 4.
Let me double check really quick. I feel like that's number 1, but I don't know.
I know because I know for a fact he is a villain. I don't remember who or which game it was, but I do remember he was a villain.
So I'll start off with my perspective from this because you guys can analyze it more in depth.
That's the first one. Gabriel Roman, he's from the first one.
So this movie, 100% fun. I feel like if you just went in there, it's a popcorn movie. Like it's a movie that you would want to see like on a Friday night if you're hanging out with like 1 or 2 different buddies and you're just in there to enjoy something. That's what this movie is.
Yeah.
It's well structured. It's well edited. The action sequences are awesome to watch. Yeah. And the moments that we turned around, there's a scene in there where they take the boats out of the ground and it's essentially airborne pirate fighting.
Yeah.
And we both turned around to one another's like,
this is going to be fun.
Okay. I went, and then I immediately went, that's stupid. Like, it's so dumb. Because immediately I was like, why wouldn't you cut the trees down so that way we don't get caught on a tree? But logic at that point is out the window.
Well, at that point, they're transferring ancient, like, ships.
Don't blow holes in my ship, and then all of a sudden the ships are destroyed.
I said it.
Stop blowing holes in my ship.
No, because okay, and the only thing that bothered me was, and I think I think that scene wouldn't have bothered me if she didn't say, "Watch your guns." Because if you put a hole in my ship, I put a hole in you. And then 5 seconds later, she's then hauling these things out through the desert. I mean, through the forest.
Yeah.
That was the only reason why.
Over an ocean.
Yeah, like over an ocean. And I was like, wait, hold on. You obviously don't care.
Yeah.
Once one ship was gone, it's game over. You know what? We're gonna start ramming ships in the air one another.
Dude, I think I said it out loud in the middle of the thing. I was like, so I guess protecting the ships is all gone now.
Yeah, it's all
'Cause,
out
she
the
just
window.
started, what was it? She put a ship in front of the helicopter so it would crash into it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, so we're just on a suicide pact now. That's where we're at. Like, if I die, you die.
I will say this: it's so funny because this movie was filmed technically right before No Way Home, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's super funny because there were interviews where Tom Holland was saying that Uncharted was a very physically taxing movie to
And I
film.
understand that.
Yeah.
And now watching it, I'm like, my God, this
yeah.
man was running. This guy's built. This guy's
No,
built.
yeah.
Yeah.
But what I
he's
enjoyed a
jacked.
lot
This
was
is why he's Spider-Man.
yeah. But what I enjoyed a lot was, you know, even watching the gameplay and stuff like that, Nathan Drake is a character that's very agile, very physical. He is essentially the guy that will be climbing ledges and hanging off rooftops, stories and stories high, and we get that. And the scene that popped it out for me, even though it was a short distance, is when he tries to climb on the boat. He does what a video game character would do, which is kind of like back up and then climb and like hoist himself up in a manner that's very video game-esque. It kept true to that. That's what I enjoyed.
I thought it was interesting because I remember when I first heard of the Tom Holland and what was it, Mark Wahlberg casting, and I immediately was like, why them? Like, that's because when you first hear that he's going to be Nathan Drake and that's going to be Sully, those are weird choices. Those honestly are.
But it worked.
No, but
it worked. It does. Their chemistry is where it hits.
after watching the movie, they do fit now. But at the same time, when you first heard of it, you're like, well, you know, you think of Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and you're like, well, you know, maybe you automatically go Peter Parker, and you're like, he doesn't have that.
He doesn't really have that
wittiness.
swagger. He doesn't have that swagger.
Of that confidence.
Yeah.
That's what's.
But then he did.
No, that's the
But
thing.
here's the thing, though. I think that they worked for the movie. They aren't. They're still not. Of them, I would still say that Nolan North and them are still the primary, you know, Nate and Sully. Those by far, they didn't compare to them. But for the movie and and for what you needed to do to facilitate and their chemistry between each other, it worked really well for the movie. Because I've been a huge fan of The Italian Job. I love that movie. I love the remake of The Italian Job with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
And Charlize Theron and, you know, Jason Statham and Seth Green and everything else. I love that movie. It's when you watch it, it's not the best heist movie, but it's a fun heist.
It's a fun because
It's
you get into
really
the crew, you get into the
fun,
bad guy.
Yeah, it's a fun heist movie, and Mark Wahlberg does really well of being the head the head guy of a heist. He does it really well. He did it really. I don't know whoever somebody watched Italian Job and just went, get Mark Wahlberg and tell him to do the same thing.
Yeah,
that's essentially.
have him do the same thing.
Yeah, just have him do the same
have
thing.
Him act like he's older.
Yeah, just have him act like he's older and he knows more. Like literally, you could say that the Italian Job has happened in this world, and Sullivan did it.
Yeah,
Like, and I would believe it, and I would go like, oh yeah, that was just when he was younger.
As someone that's not in depth into the series as you two, I would say that it is a fun movie and it just feels refreshing to see another thieves treasure hunting movie be filmed the way it is. Now, as people that have played the series and know more about this, right? Would you guys say that this is a good film for people fans of the series?
If you go into this movie going, this is going to be 1-to-1 of the game, you are going to be sorely disappointed. You're going to be upset. You're going to be upset with it's not.
I think you're not gonna get the Uncharted movie that you think you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Obviously,
because also you have to remember when you're playing an Uncharted game, you have upwards of 20 to 26 hours of gameplay, so they can do a lot more. You can have a lot more activities. You can do activities. You can do a lot more puzzles. You can do more in depth in the history.
The puzzles are more in depth, and I will say this: this movie didn't showcase Nathan's knowledge as much as the games would have, because you kind of get the general idea that Nathan is just a fanatic for history and the lore.
He's not in for it to get rich.
Yeah, they did that really well.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I do like the fact is that Nate's not in it to get rich, but he's not shy of taking the money.
Yeah.
No.
He's fine with taking the money.
The one thing that this movie didn't do compared to the games is that at the end, towards the end of the game, or when you're reaching to the reveal of what the treasure truly is, there's a twist where it's like in the first one when you're playing Drake's Fortune, you find out El Dorado is a statue of some sorts, but has a curse on it that makes people go crazy.
Yeah.
In the second one, you think Shambhala holds this giant sapphire when really it's tree sap that makes you immortal and stuff. In this one, it did it. It's like, no, there's treasure.
It's just a treasure.
There's actual treasure, which is fine.
That's perfect because you don't want to lose your audience.
It's essentially what it is that it is essentially kind of like, okay, we're kind of doing like Nathan Drake, like 0 year.
Yeah.
In a way.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the next one, because it was the first one, I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to push towards that and going like, oh yeah, this one, the reason why it doesn't match anything and it's the introduction of Sully and everything else is because it's you haven't met that Nathan Drake yet.
Yes.
That's not Nathan Drake that we have, and that's why at the very end he becomes our Nathan Drake.
But he starts using a gun at the end too. As well.
Oh, that's super cool. How he like progressively got into the character that we know from the covers and the games.
Yeah.
Where he's like, he wasn't wearing the brown pants.
Yeah. He wasn't wearing
he wasn't wearing the costume. It was cool because when he put the harness on, we both looked at each other like, that's the final look. It's great. I want to say that if you go the supernatural route, you start to lose your audience into believing that this is something that could be enjoyed by the common people, right? And I will say this. Think of it this way, because from what I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan towards the end of the series kind of says, he kind of grows old and says, I'm not capable of doing this anymore. Because by Thieves' End, he says like, this is the last venture. And the only reason he does go into the store or go into finding the treasure is because he finds out that Sam, which is his brother, could potentially still be alive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? That's the only reason why we get that fourth game. If you go supernatural, I kind of have a feeling that you'd lose young Nate and he has no interest in finding any more treasure because by the end of it, the spark is in his eye. And now he's like, yeah, this was fun. I don't have my brother anymore, because that's the thing that he said. He's like, I would have done this with my brother. This is the only reason I would have done it. I didn't want to do it with you. And now towards the end, seeing how Sully saved his life, okay, let's go on more adventures. And that's where we can start getting more supernatural.
My thing is that for these kind of like treasure hunting movies, I feel like it's also something that's lacking in the marketplace as well. We don't have any more of these like really awesome like.
It's
treasure
difficult to
hunting.
make.
Yeah, like actual like let's go on an adventure and find out if this where the treasure's being hid and stuff like that.
Because think about it. National Treasure 3 has been in production hell for the past like
It's not going to happen.
8 years. Well, the thing is that for Disney, it's always on the books. It's been on the books for.
It's always an
Oh,
option.
so like Tron?
Same thing with Tron.
Yeah.
Both of them have always been on the
The
books.
day Tron 3 happens is the day that
You vigorously do things to your body. You're just like, oh, thank you, Disney.
still waiting.
The mouse is always right.
Daft Punk comes back and they're like, guys, we only retired because they weren't making Tron, but we're
Right.
back, baby.
Now we're back. No, I do feel like it's a marketplace that hasn't been tapped in a while. I mean, you had because you had Indiana Jones for a while. Then there was like these off-brand treasure hunting movies for a good long while, which also for some reason a lot of them have what's his name? Oh my God, why can't I think of his name? He was in the Lincoln Navigator. Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why a lot of them
Yeah,
had Matthew
that's
McConaughey
true.
through the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like through the early 2000s,
So-
Matthew McConaughey was just like our treasure hunter.
So
I
it's
don't know why.
difficult. It's difficult to have something like that because there's not a specific. The typical outline for a treasure hunting movie is that your protagonist needs to be an enthusiast of history, right? Because when you think about it, when you think of Indiana Jones, he's a professor that wants to preserve and look out for the history and the artifacts because he wants to preserve them in a museum. That's essentially his kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you have Nicolas Cage's character in National Treasure, which is the preservation of the treasure that is found within the U.S., but he's also an enthusiast about U.S. history. Nathan Drake isn't what?
Remember in the first one is always he's trying to, he's trying to clear his family's name.
Yeah.
Because in the first one it's all about
but he's still preserving U.S. history.
He loves U.S. history and everything else, but it is all about proving the Gates family right.
Yeah. Oh, man, I gotta watch.
Yeah, because remember
so great.
Well, because remember in the first one, the Gates family are a bunch of just conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
That always think that there's British gold hidden somewhere in the United States, and that's the entire reason why he goes on the adventure. Why he's been searching for it, and Gates men have been doing it for generations.
So with Nathan Drake, it's a breath of fresh air because we're dealing with a character that is loving the fact is a lover of history, of treasure hunting as well. It's a fresh character. Granted, he's been in existence for years, right? But to see him on screen, we don't necessarily have a character like that on film or TV yet. And so it is good to see that coming back with this movie. To wrap up this, because we are going to hit an hour, or we already hit an hour and 30. One of the biggest issues that most people have when it comes to these sorts of movies is that video game adaptations don't work, right? They technically still don't, but there have been quite a few gems here and there. When I think about video game adaptations that do work, I think of The Witcher. I think of Castlevania, the 4 seasons, freaking fantastic series on Netflix. The Cuphead show is actually a pretty good one. It's a pretty good one, and I'm a huge fan of that game. But when it comes to those movies, Need for Speed for me at least was enjoyable. You said the script was garbage, which I agree.
It's the problem is that a lot of the times whenever a show is given to a studio or anything else, what ends up happening is that they go, remember, it's a video game. They automatically pull the Schumacher on us.
Yeah.
Where they go, remember, we don't have to take it 100%, at face value. We can do whatever we want. Remember, it's a video game.
Exactly.
And the number one thing in which I feel like you can also see that in is Tomb Raider. Because if you were to compare the newest Tomb Raider that came out, I think maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and then you compare Uncharted together, the problem was that Tomb Raider tried to go too close to the source material,
and it flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, no, honestly, it does because it has exactly the same thing. It tried to remake the new rebranding of Tomb Raider, where they crash land, they're on a treasure hunting expedition, she has to fend for herself and everything else, which is a cool movie concept. It is a good movie concept, but the problem is that they put the ball up in the air, but they weren't able to hit it.
Yeah.
They just were not able to hit it. There was just several marks where they were just kind of like, oh, well, as long as we have the cool little tiny things, gamers aren't going to really care. But the problem is that gamers care now because video games have so much story behind them. There is great storytelling that happens in video games, and that's what makes these video games
But the video game aspect of storytelling is that you have 20 plus hours or more to talk about these stories, and that's where the movies fall short. What works with Uncharted is that you have a fresh story with the character outlines in place, and you don't really have to be a fan of the games to enjoy this movie. I feel like I could take Andy to this movie and be like, if you want a good popcorn movie, this movie is fun. It's not great.
I feel like she
it's
would
just
enjoy
good.
it.
Yeah, it's just a fun movie. You have your slow bits, but the action sequences are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can just look at Tom Holland and be like, nice.
Yeah, honestly.
he's like shirtless like 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Hey, that guy's built.
Also, he's in wet clothes a lot. Which is
the amount of
him
times
shirtless.
I kept looking at Tom Holland's arms, I'm like, dude, that guy's built, man. That's what I gotta be. I gotta reach that point.
So glad. I thought you were gonna say you were looking at something else.
No. I know what you're alluding to. No, you were looking up something, the Halo series.
Because I was actually interested on who directed it and who.
Well, see, here's the thing, though.
it.
But that's the other thing, though, because when you go towards movies like towards Tomb Raider, towards Uncharted and all these others, I feel like there's a loose storyline that you have to have.
Yeah.
And that's the benefit of Uncharted. It has a loose storyline. You have a bunch of facts that you know, and those are the ones that you have to keep to. That's your small, but their Bibles are tiny.
Yeah.
The problem with Halo is that you have to stick super close to the source material.
There's a lot.
There's so much source material that's there. It's the same thing if you were to make because they were talking about a Mass Effect series.
Netflix picked it up.
Yeah,
Netflix is picking up a BioShock series, and their BioWare is in talks of potentially doing a Mass Effect show,
and I think Dragon Age as well.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so Netflix is picking up all these properties.
Dang.
But the problem is that if you were to have a Mass Effect show, and then you were just to kind of go, this is the time on a different ship, and you didn't show me the Normandy, I think I would lose my shit. I would be so upset.
Why?
I don't, because when I think of the Mass Effect universe, especially like the show, I mean, I don't want to see another ship. I want to see the Normandy.
No, that's the whole point of it. And that's where you start to fall in danger, because Halo has this problem. I feel like we should talk about Halo when it comes out, because I'm going to binge watch that.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah, so...
When's
Will all
supposed
the
to come out
episodes be... Are all the episodes
Paramount. I feel like Paramount...
No, it's going to be week to week.
It's week to week. So we'll probably do mini-casts. I'm down for the both of us to just do that.
Because Halo has it almost has too much.
There's too much,
background.
and there's this danger, because Castlevania is a good example of this, right? And we're going to wrap it up with this point. Castlevania is lore heavy, because there's multiple games that have come out throughout the years, but it deals with the story in a way that's not off-putting, and you could still, as someone that doesn't know anything about Castlevania, enjoy it. Because the first season sets up the fact that the Belmonts... You've seen Castlevania, right? Okay, so the Belmonts have a long history of monster hunting and vampire killing. Do you know about Castlevania or no?
You maybe watch like the first 2 episodes.
Okay,
So never touch it again.
It's good, dude. So anyways, the Belmonts essentially have a long history of vampire hunting and monster killing and everything. And Trevor Belmont is the last remaining Belmont in existence, right? Their family heritage is completely in shambles. They are no longer trusted. They've been excommunicated from the church.
And they've also been hunted down.
And basically done, right?
Yeah.
But you have a story to follow with one last Belmont, and you get the little Easter eggs like Alucard, who is a character that you see in like the 4th or 5th Castlevania in the series. Yeah. You have the Morning Star Whip. Like, those little things here and there is what makes the game or the series interesting for both the casual audience and fans of the series. You're captivated by that.
Yeah.
Halo has too big of a Bible to stray itself away from that, and they've already said that
toxic fan group.
Yeah.
In all fairness, in all fairness, I would say that they're not as toxic as they are loyal, but
Bingo.
Because honestly, I would say that Mass Effect fans are worse.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say Mass Effect fans, for a bad ending, told the creators to go kill themselves.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's been a couple of bad Halo games, and even they were like, "Oh, hey,
the
man,
transition from Bungie to 343."
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, and
that was a rough transition, and Halo fans were like, "Oh, give us another one, man! Come on, we believe in the next game.
What is
You can do it. We're giving you a chance.
Yeah, like
please."
So I remember when Halo 4, because I didn't grow up playing like the Halo series 1, 2, or 3. I started with Reach. And the funny thing was,
really?
I started with Reach because I didn't have an Xbox until the Xbox 360.
Really, Reach?
Yeah,
that's an interesting one.
So Reach was fun. I love tragedies, and so Reach to me stuck because you already know the ending for Halo, and it's like you already know what's supposed to happen.
That's a rough ending.
Oh, it's so great. Do you know the ending of Reach?
No, I stopped after Halo 2.
It's a suicide mission.
Yeah, it's a suicide. Literally, the last mission says survive,
and you don't.
No, but it's an interesting thing, because as it says survive, you see the team that you've been with, because I liked Rage for one reason of you can choose one of 4. You are one, and then you can have 4 buddies take over the other Spartans.
Yeah.
And then you could play as an actual unit through the game. The interesting thing was that as you were playing through the game, the final mission had you surrounded by the Covenant, and you just see your teammates go down one at a time. And it was so heartbreaking because you spent an entire game to love these characters and think they're so cool just for them to murder them in front of you.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that right now.
I'll show you. No, I swear, I'll show you the video of
Yeah.
of the ending. It's rough because not only because they also did some really cool things of like you're surviving, you're doing really well killing things, and then you get hit, and then you see a crack over the screen, and then you're shooting again, you see another, and then another crack happens, and then eventually it cracks completely, and you see. And like your character throws it, and now the like your visor is gone. You don't have it anymore. You're picking it up, trying to shoot. It's rough.
So
it is a rough ending.
With that said, it's a very lore heavy and very intense Bible that the series needs to follow. And I feel like Paramount announcing that this is going to be a completely new story that has nothing to do with this video game stories so far is kind of
That's a risk.
It's a very major risk because fans are very skeptical about this.
The way that you do that is you don't have Chief. And that's the hard part.
But you have Chief there.
But they have Chief because the thing is that if you were to do like an ODST esque game where it was like a survival drop shop trooper, that would be a dope series.
I would have actually
that would be
liked
actually a pretty sick series.
The development of like probably following like a different Spartan unit. Even if you had the backstory of like Spartan Locke, for example, and kind of telling his story, that would have been interesting, and just have Chief be a side character.
Yeah, because it's something you haven't seen.
Didn't they do like a short movie?
So there's a couple of them.
The one I saw was like it shows recruitments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like Master Chief comes in.
That's actually really good.
Yeah,
That
Master
is
Chief comes
really
in
good.
at the end
Yeah.
and like saves them
That
all
was
and
going,
they help him out at the end.
I think that was going into 5 or 6.
That was actually pretty good. I watched that.
Yeah, because that one's really, really good. I keep on getting updated on it because I've been playing Halo and, Google.
Google loves to track what you're doing.
Yeah, Google loves to track what you're doing. And then when I go on YouTube, it goes like, did you want to watch the Halo movie or this Halo TV, this Halo short? And I'm like, no, I don't. I really don't want to watch it again.
But if you're insisting.
But I mean, it's already playing.
So, any last points before we wrap up this issue?
I think overall, let's give a rating of Uncharted out of what? 1 out of 5?
1 out of 5. I give it a solid 3.
I give it a 4.
A 4?
Yeah.
I'll give it a 3.5.
No, don't teeter totter.
4.
Okay,
I'll
thank
give
you. I'm like, don't.
4.
Don't.
It feels fun. It was enjoyable. I liked the. Mark Hamill and Tom Holland's chemistry was great. And it made me excited. If they do another one,
Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
At no point during the movie was I bored.
No.
Yes.
And I feel like that's a plus.
Yeah.
Because with you spouting this much like history and this much like treasure hunting and stuff like that, at times it could get a little boring. It gets a little bit overwhelming. And I think that I really did enjoy it because I didn't get bored through the movie. I was enjoying it. It was nice. It was well paced. I loved the chemistry. I kind of wish Sully would have been a little bit older, but I mean, there's nothing I can really do about Mark Wahlberg's
It's
age.
fine for what it was.
Yeah. I mean, I really would have wished that he would have had the mustache and also he would have been smoking cigars with a
We got that at the
revolver.
end.
But if I get it at the end, why didn't I get it through the whole movie?
We're gonna get it in the second one.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, there's a reason why PG-13 certain films now
You
can't show smoking, which is happening in the Batman movie. Penguin's not smoking.
I think they edited it out.
Who's Bane?
No, Penguin.
Penguin.
Yeah, he's not
in the
smoking.
Penguin, he's smoked because apparently they had to fix it because he was smoking. But now if we don't want a rated R movie, he can't be smoking.
Yep. That's the new thing now.
Oh, the changes, man. It is what it is. But no, I give it a 3. It's a movie I recommend to people, even if you guys have not played the series. It was fun the whole way through. There are a couple little hiccups here and there, but again, it's not a movie that is, could be criticized heavily. It is what it is. Just go enjoy it. So with that said, a couple of announcements again, guys. Check out keepingupwiththenerds.com for all the up-to-date information. Again, we will be posting stuff about the Batman there and on Twitter and Instagram when those things are updated. It's going to be a very heavy and busy week for all of us, guys, because there's a lot of content to work on and a lot of news and tidbits. Again, message us. Let us know what y'all think. Go check out our partners at Our Real Addiction as well. They will be talking about the Batman and more, I would say, a different perspective of it.
More of like the movie
production aspects.
Yeah, movie production, behind the scenes stuff.
They won't be masturbating vigorously.
No, we are just gonna fangirl over it.
We're gonna be comic book relating to this entire movie. They did release an episode. They always release on Thursdays, closer to about 11 a.m.
Yeah.
A couple podcasts ago, they did make one about the Oscar nomination.
Yes.
So if you are interested in that one, it is a very good podcast.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Recommend you guys to listen to it on their, on the platforms that they're on. You guys can find them at keepingupwiththenerds.com as well, guys. So with that said, Nick, anything else? Oh, subscribe and ring that notification button on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube, please. We're almost at 100 subs.
Yes.
Nick, you ready to end this podcast? This issue?
This has
87.
been key. Oh, thank you
87.
for messing me up already. I already
You're
knew that.
welcome. No, you didn't.
Second guess.
What a lie. And hit it. Go.
Oh, I can go down? I can go down?
Yes.
This has been Keeping Up with the Nerds, issue 87. My name is Nick Valero.
This is Bryan.
Rene.
Recording at Undercity Comics in Whittier, California. We want to thank everyone for listening to this issue and hope to see you all next time.